Hi everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison. I run Morrison Productions, which is another YouTube channel, and I've started this YouTube channel for one particular project that I am working on called Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, which is a feature film inspired by the folk filmmaking movement that started a few years ago during COVID, pioneered by people like Joel Haver and Doom Productions and people like that. I can't remember the names of the guys from Doom Productions, so sorry. I'll link it in the description anyway, so you can go check it out, because it's all stuff that's on YouTube, and the whole ethos of the folk filmmaking. I know I say folk, it's folk. The point of the folk filmmaking movement. See, I've already adjusted it. The point of the folk filmmaking movement is making films for as low a budget as possible, with people that you can get a hold of, with the resources that you have, essentially, and putting it together quickly and then getting it onto YouTube, which I know sounds like it's a recipe for disaster, but in a lot of cases it ends up resulting in some really great work. And I'd like to show you a couple different films that I think are absolutely amazing. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my project, Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. So I'm going to start off by getting up Doom Productions, because they made a film called October, which I really like. This was something that they used their phones and did ADR over everything, which I thought was really interesting. And they're very, very proactive. They've made a lot of feature films, and this one's one of my favourites. They got so creative with it, doing little things. I'm going to try and find a bit with this. Yeah, there we are. With this guy. Again, and this was a film that was made for extremely low budget, under $1,000, I'm fairly sure. And it's just such an interesting film. And I turned it on thinking it's going to be all right, you know, but it's going to be a scrappy YouTube movie. And I've watched it, and I ended up watching the whole thing, and it made me emotional. And it gave me something that I felt has been lacking in the larger Hollywood landscape. So that was my introduction to folk filmmaking. I then watched a film by Joel Haver called The Caleb Johnston Story. It's called The Hero's Journey, aka The Caleb Johnston Story, brackets, I'm Caleb. Right. Oh! This is one of the best scenes. He's very spoiler conscious, so if you don't want to be spoiled by it, just go and watch it now, because it's really good. And I'm about to show you one of the best scenes, which is weird because he's doing it through a laptop. So the guy's an archivist. He loves archiving his life, right? And he's broken in to this house, and he's here, and he's set the camera up. This character has set the camera up that's being done on this shot, right? And you can see how it's kind of moving around. It's kind of jiggling. It's kind of moving in. But you can see it's on a laptop, right? Not this laptop, it's on another laptop. Oh, I missed it. But anyway, I thought that was kind of cool, having a shot on a laptop, through a laptop, through a laptop. But anyway, I watched that film, and it really spoke to me, and I really loved it, and I really related to the character of Caleb. And I wanted to make something that was similar in that it was a character-driven thing. But in a different context. That character is very awkward, very socially anxious, and very, very pathetic, but in a different way to what Jonny Mozza is going to be. Jonny Mozza is a much more music-orientated film, whereas that was more about... His interests were kind of the sort of stuff that if you were born in 1998, 99, you know, the stuff you were into when you were 10, 11, 12, you know, you'd be playing Black Ops, you'd be playing Minecraft, stuff like that, when it was in the early beta, that kind of thing. So that really spoke to me, because that was something that I did as a child, and Caleb was basically the 11-year-old me that never grew up, essentially. And I thought that was really interesting, and it really, again, made me emotional, actually more emotional than October, not this competition. But that was just because it spoke to me so much, and it really inspired me, actually. That specific film inspired me to make this project that I'm embarking on, Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. I'm playing Jonny Mozza. I'm going to shave this off, and I'm going to have a handlebar moustache, and I'll be wearing like leather jackets and stuff throughout the film. And I've actually got a costume designer involved, who's really, really, really talented. I spoke to her yesterday on we did a Zoom call because she lives on the opposite side of London. So I thought let's just do it through Zoom, and we're going to be meeting up next week, Tottenham Court Road, to just go around some local shops and just see what's going on. And just to find costumes for different characters, because this film is about the West London music scene that I've been a bit of a part of, and I feel like it's an interesting environment to portray on film that hasn't been shown before. West London, I feel like, never really gets a look in these kind of films. Whenever you see a film that's about London, it's usually about either central London or like South London, if it's like a Top Boy type thing, or it'll be like East London or North London. And I feel like West London never really gets a fair look. So I wanted to really show what West London is and what it's all about, and what I feel like as someone who's lived in West London my entire life. Sometimes it feels like I don't live in London. It feels like I kind of live in like Stevenage or something like that, where you have got the access to Waterloo and Piccadilly Circus or whatever that's just right there. I don't like all this central London stuff personally. It's fine once in a while, and it's cool to go there for camera, and shoot stuff there. I've shot things in Westminster before that I thought was really fun because there's a lot of really huge architecture to get in the background and interesting stuff that people will recognise. But why I want to make this film, Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, is that I want to get my world and my voice and who I am in this moment and time capsule it. And Jonny Mozza's band is called the Time Capsules. So originally I was going to call it the Time Capsules, aka Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, which I think was too much of a rip-off of the Caleb Johnston thing, whereas the hero's journey, aka, I'm using the aka thing. It's like, come on. So the way the film's going to play out, it's going to play out in a long series of quite static shots. I've made a set of rules where it's no camera movement, nothing like that. Unless the scene really calls for it. It specifically calls for it. And there are a couple moments where I'm going to break those rules, because, again, rules are made to be broken as long as you know what you're doing when you're breaking them. So I've delved deep into this filmmaking thing now, and I've pushed the snowball down the hill, and it's really started building a body to it. It's almost like become a snowman that's like running down the hill, if that metaphor makes any sense. What I did for all my old films, I used to do casting calls and stuff like that, right? I went through every single old casting call that I made, and what I did is I found every single person that I hadn't worked with, right? And that said they lived in London or somewhere near London that they could get to our sets easy enough. And I emailed all of them. I sent kind of a template email and I just changed the names. I actually messed up a few of them, and I ended up forgetting to change the name, or a couple of them I forgot to attach the thing. So I've gotten a load of messages going like, well, first, for the ones that I missed the name, I immediately had to go back and say, I'm so sorry, which looks really unprofessional. It looks really bad. Imagine your name's John and you get an email that says like, hey Graham, how are you doing? It's like, what? What's this? So there was a lot of confusion there, so I messed that up quite badly because I was doing the copy-paste thing. And then I got so many messages back. I spent all of today, all of yesterday, and all of the day before just responding to texts, setting up calls, setting up meetings. And I've come back from the first of those meetings with my co-director and with a runner. They were amazing, and they're on board for it, and I'm so happy that they're going to be a part of this project, because I can see something in them, like a spark, and their ability to go with the flow and to embrace this, not just as a job, obviously it is a job for them, but also as a bit of a filmmaking adventure, to use some very work manager type lingo. We're not here to do a job, guys. We're here to go on an adventure. Yes, let's everyone see just how many rooms we can sweep up in the next 25 minutes. Yes. I don't know what accent that is. What this film is all about is about the scrappiness, about the low budget, about showing reality through a naturalistic feel. A lot of the films I'm inspired by, well, first off, Jonny Mozza's fairly inspired by Alan Partridge, and people like David Brent, and some of the characters from various Armando Iannucci shows. And what I wanted to do was to bring that sort of person to life, and it's someone that you follow. So if you like Jonny Mozza, and well, not if you like him, but if you find him entertaining, then you're going to like the whole film, because the whole film is about Jonny Mozza. Because I can play Jonny Mozza, I know how to act, and I can be wherever I need to be for the sake of filming. I never have a scheduling conflict with myself. I'm never going to email myself and go, hey Josh, really sorry to do this, but I need to drop out because another gig's turned up. I can do what I want, when I need to do it, and how I want to do it. And I can film completely on my own if I have to, right? Just like I'm doing now. And that is something that you can't get with another person. I spoke to a friend and he said that I should cast someone else so that there was that distance. And I did understand what he was talking about, and I did consider it. But at the end of the day, I felt like part of what Jonny Mozza's whole thing is how self-aggrandizing he is. And the moment I realised I needed to play Jonny Mozza was when I kind of did this. I was like, I'm fucking Jonny Mozza. I'm Jonny Mozza. And I was like, I felt that as I said it. And I was like, right, that means I am. I've got the ability to be that arrogant about myself that I would play the role in a lead role in my own film, which is something that I look at other filmmakers and kind of sneer at them for doing, which, yeah, it can be bad, which is why I've got the co-director, which is why I want to not put myself like on all the credits, do that kind of thing. I've given myself max 3 credits. I'm allowed 3 credits, which would be directing, starring, and maybe editing, something like that, right? But it won't show, I don't know, camera by or sound by or whatever. The film, as it stands now, is due to begin filming in a couple of weeks. I've gotten all the parts together, and now it's just a case of waiting for those parts while setting up future shoots, so that once that shoot happens, there's another one just right around the corner, and then another one around the corner from that. And then, as I said, the snowball thing of the snowball going down the hill, you need to keep the ball rolling in order to get this film done, because the film probably makes up probably about 20 days of shooting. And you need to get about 20 days of shooting in order to get everything in the way that I want, because I've done films before where I've been rushing things, and I don't want to rush things on this film. I want to, even though we're not getting much coverage, and I'm specifically not chasing coverage, I want to avoid chasing max coverage. It's still something that's going to take a long time. It's going to take up multiple days, and I've brought on so many people so that not everyone has to do every day. I understand that people need to prioritize paid work. As long as an actor can come for the days that their characters are in, that's fine. Behind the scenes crew can kind of shimmy, and I can have a couple different options so that if someone can't do a day, I can still kind of do that day and just get someone else to do it, because there are a lot of days, and it is an unpaid thing. So I don't want nor expect anyone to give their 100% to like 20 plus days. That would just be, I think, selfish and narcissistic of me to do that. And as someone who was quite pro workers' rights, I don't feel great about not paying people. But then I'm not even paying travel expenses, because travel expenses, I've done that before, and it adds up so fast that you might as well just pay people at that point. So what I'm doing with this film is really trying something new. I'm trying something that is a risk. It's a big risk, and it might not pay off. But at the end of the day, I would rather have gone into the fray and come out bruised and a bit like worse for wear as a result, but with the experience of knowing that approach doesn't work. Because if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and I don't need to try it again. But if it does work, I've done it. I've gone out there and I've made something from nothing. And even if the film's not like a masterpiece, that's not a problem to me. I'm not seeking to make the next 2001 or whatever, you know. I'm looking to make a film about someone who's fairly fun to watch, get into some funny situations. It's a comedy at the end of the day, but it's a British style comedy. Again, see what I mean about not planning? I had to lean over to get that. Two really good shows, right? Alan Partridge's The Office. I actually don't like The Office that much, but I can really respect it, and I find a lot of inspiration from it, particularly because Stephen Merchant, when he made The Office, he's the guy that came up with the idea. When he came up with the original pilot, it was for his final major project for his, he was at like a West London university, or like maybe some London university, I can't remember which, and there was a very young Ricky Gervais that was playing the role, who was called the Shady Boss at the time, and it was just shot, I think, in the offices at the university, and it was a very scrappy, very quick thing, and it ended up, I think they had like some initiative where the BBC would come in and take the best final major project, and allow it to be pitched to the BBC kind of thing. So it ended up winning that, and it got pitched to the BBC, and then The Office series 1 and 2 on DVD. Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant, huge stars that have now gone on to win Oscars or to cry the Oscars in front of all the people. But they got their start through doing something like Jonny Mozza, through taking a risk, through trying something a bit unconventional, and it ended up paying off. And you know, a lot of the current cringe comedy that exists in Britain today owes itself to The Office, which then in turn owes itself to the writer's room of the day-to-day, which had, what made those times good was if you were a writer, you could go to what were called open writer's rooms. And that's how people like Armando Iannucci and Stuart Lee got their boots off the ground, so to speak. Whereas now, those avenues are closed off. However, every time a door closes, a window opens, or whatever the saying is like that, right? Well, what ended up happening was now you can open up a laptop, come on, and you can make films on the internet. He's released this for free. He made it with a budget of about $1,000, and most of the budget went to the fact that it was filmed on these specific style of cameras that you went out and got. I'm not doing that. I've already got the camera. I've already got these things. So it's not a problem for me. What makes a film, I think, is emotional resonance. I don't think it's budget, and I don't think it's technical ability. I don't think it's having the right actors in, or having like really strictly rehearsed scripts. I think the nature of film is a lot looser, and I think to constrict it to a Hollywood style system where you've got, you take it through the film festivals, and then the film festival is basically a place where you're whoring yourself out to various producers going, please take this, and I've done that, and no one's taken it, which probably implies that I'm bitter. I don't feel bitter. I feel like, if anything, it's more engaging to find this stuff on the internet. I think it's more interesting to find a film like the Caleb Johnson story, which has plenty of people, emotionally engaged. And there's loads of films like that have, tens of thousands of views, and 10,000 views. That's a lot of people. That's like filling out 100 cinemas at least. Probably more. Probably 500 cinemas, and that's pretty good in my opinion. I'm happy with that. All I want with this film is for people to watch it. They're a bit depressed, a bit like, going through a hard time. They're not too happy. Maybe life just feels a bit meaningless and a bit grey. And they watch this film, and it gives them a little bit of life for a bit, and it gives them a bit of brightness, and they go around quite excitedly, say like, oh, you need to watch the Jonny Mozza story, exactly the same way that I did with the Caleb Johnson story. I watched that film and I immediately went out and I told everybody, you need to go watch this film because it's amazing. I was showing people scenes from it. Some people didn't get it. Some people thought, oh yeah, I'll watch that later. And maybe they've gone and watched it since. I know word of mouth isn't the magic bullet that everyone says it is, but it is important to the point, not necessarily of the people receiving the word of mouth, but the people giving the word of mouth, because it means that those people have enjoyed your product so much that they are willing to do free advertisement for you. And that's what I want to do. I just want to give people a good time and give them something that will stick with them in their heads and in an emotional capacity that will just engage their brain, engage their heart, engage their soul, and make them feel good, essentially. That's what I want to do. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it. I'm going to keep doing these, and I'm going to give you updates on how the filming's going and stuff like that as the making of the film progresses. And I think for now, I'm just going to love you and leave you. So thank you very much. Oh, I hate that saying. Why have I said that? I hate that saying, I'm going to love you and leave you. Where did that come from? That wasn't me. I was like my old manager at the fucking Weatherspoons. What happened there? It just came out. I don't like that saying. It annoys me, that saying. This is similar to people like, oh, let's get our heads together. What's getting your heads together going to do? You're just going to have your heads together and it's going to hurt. It's like that. Boom, let's all get our heads together. What are you expecting, like all the heads to come together so that brain waves sort of come back and forth between you all through telekinesis? It's not going to happen. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be just a headache for all of you. When you'd be better off sitting in your little chairs, spitballing some ideas, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and having fun with it. That's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be fun. And I've made films before that weren't fun. That now I feel like I've learned the lessons from those, and what I'm doing with Jonny Mozza is really inspiring me every single day. I feel like I have something to wake up for. And once the film is done, I hope I can share that feeling via the film to the rest of you. And even if you hate the film, even if you watch it and you go like, what a load of pretentious crap that was, or Jesus Christ, they don't even know how to compose a shot or whatever, you know. Even if you hate it, that's fine, because hate is an emotion, and I want to make people feel something, even if that's negative. I don't mind. You know, I've made a lot of shit, and I actually quite enjoy getting hate comments. I kind of enjoy it. I do this series called Phineas King on another channel, and I got a comment that said, "You're like a shit Borat who's not funny. You need to give it up. No one's laughing. No one's liking this." And I know some people would delete that comment and remove it and try and hide all that sort of stuff. I heart reacted it. I loved it. I thought, you know, that kind of thing to me means a lot. There was another one that was a review for an old film I did a score for, and it said, the score, imagine a monkey goes into the woods and finds a keyboard, and he starts going, ding, ding, ding. Well, that's what the score for this film sounds like. I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. It doesn't sound like a great soundtrack. And that's fine. It's fine to make shite at the end of the day. But with this, I don't feel like I'm making shite. I feel like I'm making something of good quality. That's something that the whole cast and crew will be able to be proud of, put on their show reel and use for their own career purposes. And that's all I want. And I think it's going to be a hell of a journey. I think it's going to be a fun time for everybody involved, I hope. And hopefully it'll be a fun time for all the yous as well. I'm going to keep you updated on the film, the production. If there's a day of filming that's happened, you'll probably hear about it. I'm probably not going to do too much social media stuff for now. I'm probably going to stick with just uploading the stuff to YouTube, and then I'll start doing shorts and crap like that, play the game. And then that's going to be it. Once the film comes out, it's going to be it. And then we'll make the next one, and then we'll make something else after that. And we'll keep making stuff until we die. And then when we die, we'll leave a legacy of some kind. And even if it's a legacy of just, you know, mediocre films that no one really cares about. It's, you know, it's something that wouldn't exist if not for you. So go out there, try it, and if it fails, it fails. And, you know, you can still get enjoyment from a bad thing. And as long as you're good-natured about it and you're able to take the shit, you'll go pretty far. So thank you so much for watching. I've been Joshua Morrison. The Jonny Mozza Experience. That's not what the film's called. The film's called Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. Bye-bye. There we are. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about Christmas, because Christmas is now officially over. It's now the 26th of December, right? So for the past sort of 25 days you've been, you know, going through your little Christmas calendar, open up the little cardboard things. Maybe you've got chocolates in there, maybe you've got little pictures of dogs. Whatever it is, you were enjoying that, you know, and now you haven't got one to open. You know, now you've not got any presents to look forward to until the next year. At some point that thing's going to get taken down, you know. We've got to take all these bulbils off. We've got to put them all back in the box, put that back in the loft or the attic if you live in America. And, you know, then at some point next year we're going to do it all over again. And we'll kind of get excited for it. And then, you know, it will happen. And then it will stop because, you know, we'll have done the getting up, the having the breakfast. You might have some croissants, or you might do, I don't know what they do in America, have pancakes or something like that. You know, and then you might go see some of your family, have some fun with them, open some presents. So that's what this is all about. There's like wrapping paper and stuff in there. Oh yeah, I was going to wear a Christmas hat. So then you put these on. They don't actually go on my head because I've got fucking Selma Bouvier hair. So you know, you kind of have that, and you know, you do your, you know, your fucking Christmas crackers, and you have a nice little bit of fun. And you sit around and play a game of crib, and then you know, then you sort of lie in bed and you think, oh, that's another Christmas over and done with. Now you know, got to get on with life. You know, we only get 80 or so Christmases in a lifetime, and you only remember, like, because you don't remember your first 5, let's say. You might remember your 6th. I don't remember what my 6th Christmas was. What was the first Christmas I remember? I remember trying to go to sleep. I don't know why I said it like that. I remember trying to go to sleep, but there was a box of Pringles downstairs. So I kept sort of thinking, if I go downstairs and have a Pringle, maybe that'll help. I don't think I thought that far ahead. I think I just wanted Pringles, and so I go down and I'd have a Pringle. I remember my brother being there, and he was eating the Pringles. They were, I think they were barbecue flavoured crisps, the barbecue flavoured Pringles, and they were quite nice. And so I had them, and I was watching Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I thought, it's a 3-hour film. If I can get to the end of that, like, I'm being entertained for 3 hours, and the night is only like 9 hours long. So if you know, if that's all the trilogy, I might watch all of them. I never managed to get past the first one. But it felt like it was like a long time, because you're sat there lying there like, oh, I want it to be Christmas because I want the presents, you know, because I'm a child. Pardon me. I want all the presents and stuff, but you know, you don't get them straight away when you wake up, you know, because you've got to wake up, but then you need to wait for your parents to wake up. You need to wait for the rest of your family to wake up, and you're a little kid, so you're all like this. And you're waiting for the presents because you want the presents, and you know, you've been excited because you want like a Scalextric or, I don't know, a Barbie doll or something like that, or a new video game. When you get excited for that, and then once that's done, you kind of have a little bit of a low, because it's like, okay, great, you've played with your toy a bit, now you've done that, now you've got the Christmas dinner to look forward to. I made the Christmas dinner today because I promised in my other Christmas video I was going to do it. I'm not going to show you a picture of it because I'm not like a vlogger or something like that. But, you know, you're just going to have to take my word for it. Yeah, then you have the Christmas dinner. You pull some crackers, like that. It didn't even pop. There you are. So let's see what the joke is. So today's joke is, why did the turkey join a rock band? Tick, 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 tick. It already had the drumsticks. And it's also got charade here. So I'm going to do the charade for you. So, right, so that's film. How do I do this? This is a hard one, actually. You sort of go... no, none of that works. But more so, right? More than that, okay? And yeah, so guess in the comments what that was. Have some fun with that. Yeah, so that's that bit done. Put your crown on, you know. And it can be quite easy to be a bit of a Grinch about it all and just sort of sit there and go, oh yeah, Christmas. What's the fucking point of it? What's the point of doing any of this? But you know what? It is kind of neat that we all kind of come together and we have this little bit of time. So you sort of red and green, whatever, you know. They're the colours that Christmas has. There's Wallace and Gromit on BBC One, so that was cool. Americans, you've probably got your own version of Wallace and Gromit, as in like, you know, some kind of cultural Christmassy touchstone. Is that Peanuts? I think Peanuts is your version, like Charlie Brown. I don't know if those are the same thing. I don't know much about Charlie Brown because we don't have that kind of thing over here. We've got Wallace and Gromit. There's not many episodes of Wallace and Gromit. There's only about 6. But you know, that's the British way. I mean, like Mr. Bean, there's only like 14 episodes of that. I remember being a kid thinking there's loads of them. Same with Fawlty Towers, although obviously I didn't get into Fawlty Towers until I was a bit older. Because even though it's a bit slapstick, it's a bit more complicated slapstick compared to, say, Mr. Bean, which is a bit more accessible to all ages. So, yeah, I've just had Christmas dinner, so I'm not really like saying anything of worth here. I just thought I would come on here and just sort of say, you know, hope you had a good Christmas, and now it's done. Once you get back to your normal life, remember that this was quite fun, you know, and that the next one will also be pretty good because, you know, there is Christmas. Christmas is pretty neat, and there's a reason that we celebrate it all over the place. There's a reason the Japanese celebrate it with KFC, because like they're not Christian, I'm not Christian, right? But we still celebrate Christmas because it's fun. You know, it doesn't have to be religious if you don't want it to be. Yeah, Christmas is kind of nice. It's all right. I like trees. I don't really understand why we can't keep the trees around all year, to be honest. Like, I mean, it looks nice. It's a nice thing to have in the house. But apparently it's madness to have that going on for the whole year. I used to have a small Christmas tree and I would keep that up till like June. And I was always told that that's a wrong thing to do. You shouldn't be doing that. But, you know, why not? Why can't I do that? You know, Jesus died for our sins, and that's a sin that he's died for. You know, having a Christmas tree all the year round. I don't know if that is a sin or if I've just done extreme blasphemy. But whatever it is, Merry Christmas. Hope you have a good New Year, because New Year's coming up. And I like this period. This period's probably my favourite bit. You know, when between Christmas and New Year, when nothing's going on, there's nothing happening in the world, everyone just sort of sits back and relaxes for a little bit. That's kind of nice. I like that. I think we should have more stuff like that. Just people just getting together and doing fuck all, because that's quite nice. So yeah, this isn't some kind of video to tell you anything or to impart any kind of information that you don't already know. It's basically just to reaffirm it is the end of Christmas, and tomorrow you're gonna wake up. It's gonna be Boxing Day, and you might not even be watching this like today. You're probably watching this in the future, and if you're watching this in the future, say you're watching it in June. I don't know why you're watching it in June, but say you are. You know, you've got 6 months till Christmas. So well, I'll tell you, this is a little bit of information, right? Get your presents now, because I always forget, and I start to get a bit panicked around late November. And I think, oh, I've got to get a Christmas present for everyone. Then it kind of gets on top of me and I kind of go, oh, I can't be bothered. And I started thinking, maybe I should just start getting like people like, I remember there was someone I was getting presents, right? And I would get them, they like this book series, right? And there was like 8 books in this series. It wasn't Harry Potter. And I sort of thought, oh, brilliant. That's like Christmas, birthday, next Christmas, next birthday, Christmas after that, a birthday after that, and then 2 more on top of that. How good is that, right? But then I got about 3 years in and I thought, I'm taking the piss here, so I just got them the rest of them, and then now I've got to think of more things to get them. So, you know, what am I going to do? I'm not a big gift giver, but I do try and put a bit of thought in. Not much, I try, But you know, it's hard because like, I'm not good at sort of walking around the shops sort of going, oh, so and so likes that kind of thing. What I tend to do, I remember if someone says, oh, I like that, right, and I write it down on my phone, right. So I just write down, oh, they like this, and then I go and I look around, and I go out specifically to do the Christmas shopping because I'll never remember to get them something if I just wander around. And I'm not the sort of person that wanders around and goes, oh, so-and-so will like that. I need to purposefully go out to get them that thing. I swear Amazon and eBay are quite useful. eBay's good for that sort of thing. Yeah, especially because like last minute you kind of just sort of think, oh, I can't be bothered. Especially because the high streets don't seem to have as much stuff as they used to. And you know, there's only so many pairs of socks and sweaters you can get for people. So yeah, basically that's the thing of the video. Just have a good Christmas. Oh well, Christmas is done now. Have a good New Year. The next year is going to be pretty good. I'm telling you that. And if it's not, you can't sue me for it because this isn't legal information or advice. So yeah, I'm not trying to be funny, by the way. I'm just trying to like wish you a Merry Christmas quite genuinely, but it sounds kind of sarcastic because I'm a bit full and kind of can't be bothered, to be honest. So, but I went to all the effort of like setting the lights up and moving this light. This lamp's normally over there, and I moved it over here while I was cooking the Christmas dinner. Because you know there's that bit in the Christmas dinner where Christmas dinner is way easier to make than people make it out to be. By the way, like I thought it was going to be a stressful thing. No, I put on a couple albums, listened to them, and then put on a couple YouTube videos, and then that was it. And I set this up while I was at it. Because I've been making Sunday roast to sort of prepare myself for it. Because Christmas dinner is just a Sunday roast with Christmas crackers. I didn't do the turkey because like there's only 3 of us. And what we're gonna, one of us is vegetarian, so what we're gonna all eat turkey. Apparently, like turkey's kind of dry anyway, so it's huge. And then you got like defrost it the day before, or go and stand in a queue on Christmas Eve. And like I'm not doing either of those things. So I got some steaks. And they were quite nice. We had some apple strudel for pudding. That was nice. I shouldn't have had it really because I'm exhausted now. So that's why the video is a bit low energy. But you know, I think the variety is nice. So yeah, have a good Christmas, and I will leave you with that last one was Mission Impossible, by the way, the charade. You were never going to get that. There's nothing in here. Oh yeah, there is. Here it is. Right, so, charade. Okay, this is a good one, this. Right, okay. And then, and then, I'm hoping, because they're watching TV in the next room, I hope I don't get copyrighted because of that. It's not my fault. What am I going to do? Go in there and tell them to turn it off and they sit there in silence while I record this? How awkward would that be? To be fair, probably can't get more awkward than this video. Oh, also, what's the joke? What did the stamp say to the Christmas card? You can guess that one. I'm not going to give you the punchline. It's a basic Christmas cracker joke. Think of a good punchline and then take some layers of you know, complexity out of it, and there you go. So I like the purple hats the most. Right. So yeah, have a good Christmas. That's like the 5th time I've said that now, but you know, whatever. I'm rocking in the chair to sort of like see the video out. So there's things on either side. Here's my real video on Christmas. If you want to know like, you know, some actual thoughts on Christmas as a whole. I was going to do that and like, you know, religion and how that interferes with Christmas and, you know, like that whole happy holidays, Merry Christmas thing. Like when I went to Lidl, like there was like, you know, guys that definitely aren't Christians that were telling me Merry Christmas. So I don't understand the whole like, ooh, the war on Christmas. Yeah, that's a bit stupid. Everyone says Merry Christmas. And if they don't, it's just because they want a bit of a change of pace. So happy holidays. All right. Oh yeah, it's this sort of thing, yeah. I thought it was going to be like a... It's a bit crap, that, isn't it? It's not exactly a thing, is it? Whatever. I could have lit this candle, but I didn't. Oh, if someone in the comments could tell me who this is. I don't think it's Jericho, but if someone... No. Yeah, if someone could tell me who this Native American is, I'd be quite appreciative. Because I've forgotten. You can like click off the video now. Like if there's that one that you've been seeing on suggested that looks more interesting, you can click that. I don't mind. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about organisation and how at the moment I am not very organised absolutely at all whatsoever, as you might be able to tell. Hence the dressing gown, hence the coats over there, hence all this shit on the desk, which conveniently this chair is blocking, but it's a mess. It is a mess. And also why the wire is here, because I'm trying to charge my phone, but I have to record through my phone, so I have to kind of sit at this angle, which is kind of good because it means, because I'm in my dressing gown, I'm not going to do a fucking Basic Instinct on this. So why am I making this video? Well, in about 2 hours, I begin shooting day 6 of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. We're going back to Oscars, and we're going to do some shots that during day 2 we didn't end up getting because of various reasons. And at that time, I was a lot more organised because 1, the base plate on my camera worked. 2, my phone actually bothered to fucking charge. 3, I had a backlog. My computer worked. My computer fucking worked. I managed to get a new DVI cable. I've ordered a new DVI cable off Amazon. So I don't think I even have time to do it today. I'm just praying to God that that's the right thing. They look a bit weird. They look like they're at like a slight right angle, which I don't know if they're meant to be. I really fucking hope they are, because I'll tell you what, why is one of them a little bit lower down? Okay, don't get yourself worried about that, because I'll tell you what, the disorganisation and the amount of disorganisation that's going on is, I think, part and parcel of making a film as an individual, as a singular entity, because I don't have a crew, well, I do have a crew behind me, but I don't have, like, an office or something like that where things need to continue and I could just hire some fucking, like, engineers to come in and sort the stuff out. Everything that goes wrong, I have to fix personally. And doing all these videos, doing 2 videos a day, making a film, trying to do music at the same time, and then obviously like having a personal life as well. It is all quite a lot, and I am kind of enjoying figuring out the balance, because I'm really enjoying being busy. I like being busy. I'm a bit of a workaholic, and it's fun. It's really enjoyable getting this done, and it's all about figuring out the balances. So I'd like to say to anyone out there who feels like you need to be organised to do any of this sort of stuff, you need to first get your life in order. No, you fucking don't. Just go out there and start making stuff. If your life's a wreck, if anything, that's a little bit more interesting. I remember I saw someone, they were doing YouTube and they were living out of a car, and they were making videos about like their depression and stuff in the car and all this kind of thing. And they were doing pretty well out of it. They were getting like 50, 100,000 views a video. I can't remember what the channel was called, but it was cool as well. Like they did some quite good videos, and they kind of made me relate to them and relate to my own experiences. Not that I've ever had like clinical depression or anything, but I've been sad like everybody else has been sad. So you can kind of relate on that level, on the human experience sort of thing. So yeah, it was really good to see that. And they were completely disorganized. Can you imagine if they had waited until their life was in order to start making some videos about depression, which is kind of a thing that your life isn't in order. It feels like it's not in order. It feels like the pieces aren't in the right place sort of thing. It all feels a little bit wrong, because you're so, like, maybe you should be happy but you're not, and you don't really understand why. So it's like a piece is missing, and it's like, you don't wait until you got all the pieces in place. You don't solve the conflict before you begin the story. So why should you wait until you're, quote, ready to begin making videos, or to begin making music, or to begin creating art? Why should you wait until you've got all the paintbrushes and all the paints and all the various sizes of canvas before you can even start just doodling? Just make stuff. See where it goes, because you can make some really fascinating and fun stuff from being an outsider in that field. Look at like some of the most look at outsider art in general. What was the guy that he lived in a prison, and his art was like collecting human teeth and making like art with them? Yeah, that was quite cool. There's so many things like that. And I'm not saying you have to go and be a serial killer and start stealing people's teeth, but you can just go out there and make something with no knowledge of that style or that genre or that idea. And if anything, that makes it a little bit more interesting because it's your personal voice and it's genuine, not you trying to chase the cliches or the trends of the genre that you're kind of going into. And you'll end up part of some genre or another because that's what ends up happening to everybody. But yeah, I feel like organization is quite overrated. You don't necessarily need it. Obviously, I would like if I was organized right now. That would be nice. That would be a good thing to have happen. It'd be nice if I didn't have to keep like bending over my phone, making sure my phone's actually charged. I'm also kind of worried that if this phone actually unbuzzes, that it's gonna fuck with the recording of the audio. So that's why I'm having to sit at this awkward angle and I have to keep looking over here and then I have to keep sort of looking here to make sure that's still recording. And then I sort of think back here and I'm thinking like maybe I could get on the laptop and try and show you an example of something. So here's something I was just having a look at, right? It's a video from someone called They Should Make Larger Fruits, right? And it is literally just sort of this. So they're just sitting there talking, okay? And they're talking about this idea of where they play music and musical gigs, and they ask people to come in like white t-shirts, and they just make the merch for them on the spot with like spray paint and stuff. And that's just such a cool way of doing it. Can you imagine if they'd gone to all the effort of, setting up official merch and doing the official merch stand, and you go and buy a t-shirt or whatever? Isn't this such a much more interesting way of doing it? Much more easy and ready, available, unique to this person. Obviously, I'm sure other people have done it, but it feels unique to this person, even though other people do it. I mean, the same way that a Steven Spielberg film feels like a Steven Spielberg film, even though Robert Zemeckis exists, it can feel the same even if other people are doing something similar. It can feel like you and your true, genuine self, even if there are like-minded people out there. Because the fact that there are like-minded people out there is kind of the beauty of it. The fact that you're not alone in this space. You're not just shouting into a void. You're shouting to, hopefully a room full of other people. And as more people come and they come into your room and they start seeing what you're all about and they decide, oh yeah, you'd be pretty good. I'd like to stick around, So I'm going to just subscribe to They Should Make Larger Fruits and just say, just used a bit of this in a video and now I'm basically comment internet etiquette, but not really. So stop this. Not you, me. This video was great. That comment is not going to make any fucking sense to them. It doesn't really make any sense in the context of this video either. So you got so much cool stuff that goes on the YouTube space. There's so many little things that are coming out. And I think, especially in the 2020s, the internet has been going in a bit of a nice place, despite all the misery in the real world. Because the 2020s, as far as the real world is concerned, let's face it, COVID, all the other shit, Ukraine, Palestine, fun, conspiracy theories, fun stuff that I'm not getting into, but the world is going in a bit of a downward sort of trend. But I feel like in these certain little havens in the world, these little wayside, we find some really nice groups of people that are just making stuff for one another, and I find that really sweet. Like, look at this. I haven't really watched this one much, but I've sort of had it on in the background. Look at that, it's just like a conversation between two guys. This guy's done like a couple big movies, but he's also in touch with the indie sort of film scene. I feel like we need to do a video at some point, about the indie film scene, like as an A24 and like the super underground folk scene, because I don't want it to become a thing of like there's faux indie and then there's real indie, because then, where's the distinction and why, it just becomes a bit like silly and a bit pretentious and exclusionary, and I don't want it to be anything like that. I feel like disorganization is kind of a part of the process of making a film, because a film is such a chaotic thing, and that's why on big sets they are so organized and so uniform, because you need so many people to get together to make something that can be considered organized art. because you need that many people to come together to, you know, sort out all the forms, to sort out the release forms, to sort out the locations, to sort out the actors, to sort out the extras, to sort out the props, to sort out the cinematography and the camera, what camera you're going to use, what microphone you're going to use, what fits the best for this sort of thing, what time of day we're going to do it. And we need to take into account the timeline of the day and the sunset and all that sort of stuff. And when it gets to sunset, what we're going to do for lighting, or like before that, what we're going to do for lighting. Oh yeah, we're going to do a fill here and a backlight there. Actually, no, we're going to do a side light here, and like, or you know, all these various sort of topics. They all get so intense that you can either try and answer every question, or you can let the answers find themselves. And for this film, Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, I am letting the answers find themselves. And it's a lot of fun seeing what the answers actually are. You know, sometimes you have a look at something and it doesn't turn out quite how you expect it. It actually turns out a little bit better than you expect, because it's you at the end of the day and your expression. But it's like your voice found itself. It's like, you know, when you're sort of trying to make a point, but you kind of didn't realize what the point you were making was at the beginning, and as the conversation continues, you kind of come to a new conclusion, and like maybe you're talking to someone and they help change your mind and that kind of thing. So you can get an awful lot of you can get an awful lot of really positive things from the moment itself and where the moment can actually take you. And you can get an awful lot from the lack of organisation. Like, I'm sorry this is such a mess, but, you know, I feel like that was kind of part of the point that I was trying to make, that the organisation isn't the most important thing. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's not what you need to succeed. The biggest filmmakers and the biggest people that are around now, sure, now they're organised, but when they first started off, do you think they were organised? Do you think Quentin Tarantino was super organised when he was working on that film that he shot on a Super 35mm that he lost half of? What was it, four bedrooms in a something like that? I can't remember what it was. It was a comedy sort of thing. But he lost half the film, and so the film never ended up coming out. Is that the sign of an organised person? Not really. But is it also, like, is Quentin Tarantino not also fucking genius, whether you like him or dislike him? I'm not, like, his biggest fan or anything, but I can at least unequivocally say, like, he's good at what he fucking does, you know? And I think the lack of organisation might be a part of it, because look at all your biggest, most favourite fucking, like, filmmakers or musicians. A lot of their best stuff tends to come when they are small, before they blow up and before they get big. Like Oasis's best albums were just at the beginning when they were... No, I'm not saying they didn't blow up pretty quickly, but, you know, their first couple before the fame and stuff really sunk in were some of their best works. And that's the same with basically any band or any like filmmaker or artist in general. Once they find that, once the audience finds them and they've got all the success and the fame and stuff, I'm not saying that it erodes at the artistic quality or anything, but it can certainly neuter or sterilize the process, because now it's a lot more synthetic rather than naturalistic or authentic, I would say, because, you know, now that you know how to do everything, it's not really as fun. Now that you've got all the answers and you're just sort of spelling the answers out, it's not particularly fun to see Quentin Tarantino at the top of his conversationless dialogue game, doing perfect dialogue across these 10-minute, essentially like the prog rock of films. Like, it's like a 10-minute drum solo of filmmaking, like some of the scenes in, say, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where they just have the one with Brad Pitt and the kid. It's a really good scene, but it is basically the film equivalent of a drum solo, where it's a technical, like, ability, and the fact that this is someone who is so good at their craft and has been doing it for so long that they've really honed in that skill and made it work. You know, like, maybe organisation isn't the be all and end all. Maybe the odd job sort of cobbled together quality can be the draw. Maybe just trying stuff, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what works is the way to go. And you should always throw new shit at the wall. And yeah, that's why I wanted to make this video. So yeah, I hope that was of some sort of use to you. I hope you managed to get something out of this. Thank you all very much for watching this. Love you all. Yeah, have a good rest of the day. You know, maybe get your room a little bit cleaner than this, but, you know, just don't worry so much about, you know, organisation, because you can spend all your time getting organised, but once you're organised, then what? Take care.